review questions first because we had some problems with some of the review questions. Most everybody did okay, but that number 14 was a problem for some of you. And this may not be your exact problem, but it was a problem. And I noticed that at least 2 of the students got the signs wrong. So we're going to try to work this one and see what happened. And I haven't worked it yet, so I may have to have your help. You can't
This
factor.
problem made me go crazy. I put a star next to it. I cannot figure it out.
All right, so you've got an AC trinomial here. So you've got 3 times 50, which is 150. And we must add, the last sign's a plus, so we must add factors of 150 to get 25. Anyone know what it is? How about
15.
15 and 10? Mm-hmm. That'll get us the 25 that we need in the middle, and we want our 25 to be positive. So both of these are going to be positive. Now, this is one of those AC trinomials, so I'm going to go through the steps again to help you make sure that you understand how that we're doing these. And you bring down the first term, you bring down the last term, and you rename the middle term according to what you did over here on your side to factor that 150. So I have plus 10A plus 15A. Okay. I hope everyone at this point can get to that level, that second step there. If not, we'll do some more. So just keep at it. Now you want to group them, group it in 2 and 2, and take out a common GCF. So out of 3A squared plus 10A, I can take out an A, and I have a 3A plus 10. For 15 and 50, I cheat a little bit because I can see that I want a 3 there. So if I take out a 5, that'll give me a 3 in that spot. 3A. And then if I take out a 5 out of 50, I have 10. And like I said, it's always just magic. That's always the same. Happens every single time. Then your common factor is 3A plus 10. That's the 2 groups that look just alike. Then you start your new parentheses with the fronts off of each one of those. So the other one is A plus 5. And these are all equal to 0 because we're solving. Now let's set each of these equal to 0. So I have 3A is negative 10. Divide out the 3, and I have A equals negative 10 thirds. Subtracting the 5 gives me A equals negative 5. So I have 2 answers, negative 10 thirds, negative 5. Now, was it Danielle or Laura? Who was it that said they had trouble with that?
That was me. I see what I did wrong. I forgot to pull up the A on one of them.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It was a silly mistake, but I'm glad you went over it.
Okay. Now, if you get these 2 that are right there, if you get them to be the same, then you know you're doing it pretty, you know you've got it right. Okay. All right, let's try another one that people had trouble with. I noticed that several students had trouble with this one. This is number 15, and it was the same problem. It just used different variables. 12b squared plus b equals 6. And the problem with this one was that you had to set it equal to 0. So you have to move that 6 over by subtracting it from both sides. So I have 12b squared plus b minus 6 equals to 0. Portia's having trouble getting in. Hang on a second. Let me send her a message. Okay, we'll see if she can get in now.
Miss Sullivan,
Yes.
it's also just a little bit blurry. It's like I can't tell the 2 from the B. I mean, I can see the 12B, but it's like B and there we go. I can see it right then.
Is that
Okay.
better?
Yes.
Okay, let's try that. All right, now then, we have a 12 and a 6. So AC is going to give us 12 times 6, which is 72. And we must subtract. We must subtract factors of 72 to get 1 in the middle. Anybody know what that might be?
This is where I got lost.
9 and 8 is 72, right? Did someone get lost?
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of 9 and 8. It's like the 2 numbers I didn't even think of.
9 and 8, and I wanted to get 1. So I make my 9 positive and my 8 negative.
Okay, I see what I did now.
Okay, now then bring down your first term. Bring down your last term. And rename your 1B into plus 9B minus 8B. That will make the 1B. Okay, group 2 and 2. And looks like we have a 3B in common. 4B plus 3. This third term is negative. Remember, if the third term is negative, you have to take out a negative something. Let's try negative 2. That would give us a 4B plus 3. What's your signs on this one? When you take out this negative, it makes that negative become a positive. Okay, now your common group is 4B plus 3. And your fronts off of that would be 3B plus 2. So we're going to set each one of those groups equal to 0. I think you're home free once you get to this point. I hope everyone can do this. So we have 4B equals negative 3. Divide out your 4. So B is negative 3/4. Then your 3B minus 2 equal to 0. On that one, you would add 2, and you get 3B is 2. Divide out your 3, and B is 2/3. So your answers are B equals negative 3/4 and positive 2/3.
Miss Sullivan, we can't see anything. Okay, thank you.
Sorry. That's what happens when I lower my, let me move it over a little bit. Maybe that'll help.
I can see the problem.
That's perfect now. That looks perfect.
Sorry. Okay. Where are you having the most difficulty with those problems? Because there will be some of those on the test.
I sometimes have a hard time with like the AC part, like getting the addition, subtraction for the middle term. Like this one, I didn't even think of 9 and 8. I kept trying to do like 2 and 3 and stuff. And I'm like, why isn't this working? But I'm hoping if I keep doing more problems, like maybe from the book or something, I could figure it out.
Let me tell you something that I do that might help you.
Okay.
I started with 12 times 6 is 72 because that's my A and my C. I can break my 12 into 4 and 3 and my 6 into 3 and 2. So any combinations of those factors will work. And see, here's the 9 and the 8 right there.
Oh, wow.
So if you can't think of it, start breaking the 2 original numbers that you used down and see if it'll help you figure out what the numbers are.
That's a cool way to look at that. I've never seen it like that before.
Well,
helpful. That was good.
Yeah, that's really useful.
Good. I'm glad you like that. Every now and then I think of something that helps. Usually it's in the middle of the night. But if I can remember to give it to you the next day. Okay, let's try another one that you had trouble with. And this is number 18. And I'll tell you what happened on 18 is that the people that had trouble with it just didn't want to do it. They just didn't do it. They said, I am not going to do that problem. I don't like it and I'm not going to do it. This one says find A. So f of A is equal to 3. Now I understand why this one's hard. But I got tickled because you do all the other ones and then you got to this one and you went, no, not doing that one.
So I did the stupidest thing. I thought I was supposed to put 3 in for X. That's like,
No, you put 3 in for Y. That's what you're going to do. We are going to change this to f of A equals A squared plus 16A plus 63 since they want us to do A's.
But why wouldn't they? And that's one thing I don't get. If you're gonna say find A, then why not make the
Start
F
with A? That's a good thought. Now remember,
They're just
f of
trying to
A
throw
is
you off.
Y.
Math people do that all the time. It doesn't serve a purpose.
Actually, I think it's better than it used to be when I was in school. With that, we used to always have to watch out for the tricks. So you put that 3 in the Y spot. So it says 3 equals A squared plus 16A plus 63.
yeah, I thought it was like a function. I don't know. I was like, oh, if she's giving us an easy problem.
No, it's not a substitute. It would say find f of 3 if it wanted you to do that.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Now this one has a 3 over here in the equal to part, so you can't have that. You're going to have to get rid of it. Has to be set equal to 0. So you have 0 equals A squared plus 16A plus 16. That's to be equal to 0 over there. Okay, add factors, you must add. And this time it's not an AC trinomial. It's just a plain old simple trinomial. I need to use just the 60. I want to do factors of 60 to get 16. Anybody know what that might be? 10 and 6 works. That gives me 16. I want my 16 to be positive. So I'm going to factor this into A plus 10 and A plus 6. See, when you get to these easy ones, you're so used to doing those hard ones, sometimes you forget. Set each one of these equal to 0. And A is equal to negative 10. And A is equal to negative 6. Any question? Next time you'll see one of those, I don't want you to skip it. I want you to do it. Questions?
You said all this homework is due by Friday night?
No, I did not.
Oh,
say that.
okay. Never mind. I don't know. I might have misheard the conversation.
Did I say that, guys? I didn't mean Friday night. I mean
I don't know. It was at the beginning before everybody came in. Yeah, I thought it was due Sunday. I mean,
it's due.
almost done with it anyways. But
Right. Our deadlines are always Sunday.
Dr.
Okay.
Sullivan, how was the last problem different from the AC trinomials we did before? Like, why was this not an AC trinomial?
Oh, that's a great question. Does anybody know the answer to that?
It's the first. It's just one.
There's not a number in that
Oh,
first
okay.
spot. Now,
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure.
you know, you could do it like an AC trinomial and it'll work. If you like doing it that way and you don't recognize that it's a simple trinomial, you can do that. You can bring down the first term, bring down the last term, rename the middle term to plus 10 and plus 6 and group them 2 and 2 and you'll get the same answer. So if you forget that it's a simple trinomial, you can factor it just like you would an AC trinomial. That'll work. All right, let's do one of these tower problems. This is another one that people just skipped because they don't like it. This is a wire. It's stretched from the ground
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, boo.
to a tower. So we got this tower up here, you know, and this wire is stretched over here to this tower. Okay, got that picture? Here's the tower. This is the wire that goes this way. It's stretched from the top of this tower down here, I guess, to hold it in place. Okay, so then it says the wire is 35 feet long. So we can put a measurement in here, 35 feet. The height of the tower is 7 feet greater than means what?
+7.
Uh-huh. Greater than the distance D from the end of the wire to the tower, the base of the tower. And it says the base of the tower, they want you to use a variable D. So this is our D down here. Then our height is 7 feet greater. So this would be the height. This way up here is the height. So that would be D plus 7. It's the height of your tower, 7 feet greater. Now, this is a right angle right here. So this is the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And C squared has to be the hypotenuse, which is the side this little angle points to. It's the longest side of the right triangle. So I'm going to say D squared plus D plus 7 squared equals 35 squared. Everybody okay with that? Now, this is where I told you to be really careful that D plus 7 is really D plus 7 times D plus 7. You have to write that thing down twice to square that. And I have no idea what 35 squared is in my head. Look. 1,225. It's a lovely number. Okay, now then I've got D squared, 7D, 49. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. 1D squared and 1D squared is 2D squared. 7D and 7D is 14D. And I'm going to subtract this 1225 to set this equal to 0 over here. So 1225 and 49, that's positive, is negative 1176. Okay, I'm going to need all you smart people because I haven't worked this problem to tell me what that's going to be. This is definitely an AC trinomial. Oh, wait. Look. You can take out a 2. This ends in an even number, so 2 will go into 1,176. So let's take a 2 out of all this. If I take a 2 out, I'll have D squared plus 7D minus, what's 1176 divided by 2?
588.
588. That's not a, that's a little bit better.
I definitely did not factor the 2 out in this problem.
You can do it without factoring it out. It just makes it.
Oh yeah, I know. It takes a lot longer.
Divide out your 2 on both sides and you'll just end up with that simple trinomial. And now, I don't know. What is 588 that I can multiply to get and subtract? We have to subtract. Let's subtract factors of 588. What's that going to be, guys?
Positive 28 and negative 21.
28 and 21?
I think so.
I don't know. Let me see if that multiplies together.
Oh, you got it.
Is that it?
Yep.
All right. Good deal. So it's D plus 28 and D minus 21 equals to 0. Good deal. All right, set each one of those equals to 0. And you get, uh-oh. I said, uh-oh, because something's wrong with this one. We'll come back to it in a minute. D minus 21 equals 0. D equals 21. Something's wrong with this one. What is it?
Your D can't be a negative number.
Right. We're talking about the distance across the bottom and the distance of that tower. So I can't use this one. This is called an extraneous root. It's a root that will not work in the problem. So I have to throw that one away. But there is a relationship between this and this one. You'll see what happens. So if the bottom across the bottom of this is 21 now, what do I have to do to get the height of the tower?
Put 21 in for D.
So what is 21 plus 7?
28.
So see that 28 that's down there? Yeah, that's what you'll end up with anyway. D plus 7 is 28. So those are going to be your 2 answers for the problem. Any questions? Next time, don't skip it. Got it? Okay, it's time for us to do our poll. I don't know if Portia made it in or not. Did Portia make it? Anybody know? Bless her heart. I know how she feels. Okay. I have a poll that I'm launching. I need you to fill it in while I count these other people here, like Sequela.
Yes, I'm here.
Is Portia here? Did Portia make it?
No, that was Shaquilla. That was me. I was just saying hi.
You're here. I saw your name come up there. Okay. Can everybody see the poll? About 3 people that can't vote for some reason. Okay, let's end the polling and you can kind of see how your classmates are doing. Most people are using 1.1 to 2.0 hours on their homework, 53% of you. Some of you are doing more than 3 hours. Wow, 20% of you. And some of you are zipping through it. So one of you that selected more than 3 hours, why do you think it's taking you longer to do it?
It's not taking me longer to do it personally. This is Eric. It doesn't take me long to do it. It's reinforcing the information that we've already gone over.
Oh, okay.
Like I'll run through the homework and it'll take me anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes more depending on what the topic is. But then after that, I go back through and I do each problem again using the show me and just knocking out different kinds of problems that are the same variation of that. And it's paid dividends for me.
I can see it sure has. That's a good thing to do. Really good. Anybody else want to share about what you're doing and if it's effective or not? Yes. Okay.
I try to do Tuesday's lecture stuff on Wednesday. And then I try to do the Thursday lecture either right after class or on the weekend. I try to split it up, and that helps me not get confused and kind of know what's going on.
That's a good idea. Okay. All right, let's start our new work tonight. This is section, it's actually 6.8 and 7.5, but the major portion of it, in fact, I think it's listed as section 7.5, but I know some of these problems are from 6.8. Okay, in this section, we're going to talk about continuous and non-continuous functions. All right, continuous looks kind of like that. That's not the only kind, but there's no breaks in here. See, it just goes from one side to the other. Another one could be something that looks like this. Okay, there's no break in it. Whereas in a non-continuous function, which is, we're going to have some of those tonight, there's some breaks. See, there's a break right here. And there's a break right here. So you just have to be aware that there's some breaks in the process that you're doing. So know that that's going to happen tonight, and we're going to talk about intervals. So tonight when we're doing intervals, know that some of them may break. All right, let's talk about intervals. We can have intervals increasing, decreasing, or constant. Those are the three terms that they use to describe intervals. And an interval is something that starts one spot and ends at another spot. And there's some things that you must know about intervals. They always go left to right. Remember how we did those domains that we were doing? We had to go left to right. You have to do that on intervals also. Another thing about intervals is you always use parentheses. You never use a bracket on intervals. Now, they're going to mix it up and say, find the interval and then find the domain and range. When they do that, the domain and range will use some brackets, but intervals always use parentheses. The other thing that you must remember, and these are three big things, is always use the X values. Okay, always use the X values as you're going left to right. This one right here is the one that messes people up the most because they tend to want to use the Y values. So always use the X values as you go left to right. So those are the three things. Always go left to right, always use parentheses, always use the X values. Okay. So we're going to start with a picture of one. Let's see if I have it. Nope, I don't have this one. So this picture starts with -4, -2, and goes up to -3, 0. And I'm going left to right. Then it goes -1, -2. And then it comes over to 2, -2. And then it stops, just stops, and starts again at 4 and goes to positive infinity. Now let's see what we need to do. First of all, you need to put in the ordered pairs. So this one is -4, -2. This one is -3, 0. This one is -1, -2. This one is 2, -2. This one is 4, 0. And this way is positive infinity up and also positive infinity to the right. So what I want to do now is talk about the intervals increasing. These are all intervals. Increasing means to go up left to right. Go up left to right. And I like to put a little car on here. And I don't want you to make fun of my cute little car because I like this little car. I use it all the time. That's my little car. And that little car left to right is going uphill. Do you see that? If I quit moving the paper, you might. See how my little car is going uphill left to right? Yes. Somebody say yes.
Yes.
So if it's going uphill left to right, it is increasing. So I'm going to start down here and left to right, the first one. And remember, I'm using the x values. I do parentheses, -4, comma, and it's going to go up until I get into an x value of -3. So my interval increasing is -4, comma, -3. Notice I'm using the x values. Now, is there any other place on this graph that we be going up, left to right?
Would it be 4, 0 to infinity?
That's right. See, I could put my little car over here, and it would be going uphill, left to right. So there is another one. Now, you can put a union between it, but I noticed this author for this section used a comma. The next one starts at -4. Remember to use the x values, and it goes to the x value of positive infinity.
That's not -4, it's
I was going
positive.
to say that's not negative.
Who did that? Who said that first?
Astanika.
Astanika. I'm going to put a star on your name, Astanika. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Now then, let's go the other way. I'm up here, then my little car's got to go down. You see that? It's going to go down, left to right. So that would be decreasing. That goes down.
Is it the same left to right? Okay, perfect.
All right, now again, you're going to have to use the x values. So it starts going down at what x value?
-3.
-3.
And it stops going down at what x value?
-1. Okay, I read that.
Now, do we have any other spots on that graph that goes down?
No.
No. All right, but now there's one that I have missing. What do you think that one is?
Constant.
Constant. When you go straight across straight across, left to right. That is called constant. There's no change. Okay, left to right. All right, so again, remember it's X values. So where does it start being constant?
-1.
And where does it stop being constant?
-2.
Nope, close.
Oh,
2.
shoot. Okay.
2, because you have to use the X values.
Values. Yep.
You must use the X values. Okay, now that's intervals. Always go left to right. Always use parentheses. Always use the X values. Any questions on that?
And this is for intervals, correct?
This is only for intervals.
Only for intervals. Okay, I'm making a note. Thank you. So if I say what the interval of this graph, that's what you would answer, the 2 X values.
Yes, you have to use X values.
Okay, I think I got it.
Okay, now then, they're going to stop using intervals and they're going to domain and range. Okay, the second part is domain and range from a graphed equation. And this one, you can use the bracket if the point is included, just like we did before. Okay, we also need to remember to go left to right if you're talking about domain, and go lowest to highest if you're talking about range. Range is the Y values. The X values are the domain. The Y values are the range. We did that before, so I hope you remember. Now remember, there may be breaks. So if you have a break, in this one, they are using a union symbol to connect them instead of a comma. All right, let's look at a graph. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a point at -5, -5. There's a point at -3, 1. There's a point, and it's an open circle at -1, 1. That's that one. And then let's come over here. This is not the same one on your notes because I'm running out of room here. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. We're going to start it here. And that point is 3, 5. And we're going to go down to infinity. So be careful on that. Let's talk about this infinity. If you're talking about the X values, okay, then these are over here on the positive side. So I might have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 20, 100. Those are all positive values. So that's going to positive infinity on the X values, which is part of the domain. The Y values going down. Let's see what that's doing. If it's going down, 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 I would have -5, -7, -10, -100. Those are getting smaller. So that's going to negative infinity for the range. So be careful on those that have the arrows. Those are really tricky. Okay, so let's do the domain, and we're talking about the X values from left to right, and we do have a break. All right, so the lowest, the one that's further to this way, going left to right, the first one we come into would be the X value of -5. Does it include -5?
Yes.
So we're going to put a bracket because we're doing domain. And this domain will go to where? Let's see. This is a -3. This is a -1. So it looks like our X values left to right would start at -5 and go to -1. You see that? Left to right. I remember I had to come over and down. So this is the lowest X value. And then as I go left to right, for this part of the graph, this one is the highest X value, and it's -1. Does it include that -1?
No.
No. Okay, now then it skips across here, and it says to use a union symbol, and the next X value that it starts with is 3. And it includes the 3. And then it's going to go to infinity. But remember that it's using these higher values of X. This X-axis would keep going over here. So somewhere there would be like a +20 that would be on this. But do you see how those X values are going to go up? So that's going to be positive infinity for the X values. So if I had a point on my graph down here, it might be 10, -30. But do you see my X values, which is what I'm looking at, are going to get larger toward the positive side. My Y values are getting the negative side, but my X values are going on the positive side.
So if the point is not included, it's just like traditional parentheses, correct?
Yes. And you always use a parentheses with infinity. All right,
Okay.
let's talk about the range on this one. The range on this one is the lowest Y value. So I've got to come down here and find the lowest Y value. Well, it looks like there's a Y value of -5. Is there a Y value that's lower than -5?
Negative infinity.
Because this is going to go way past -5. It's going to keep going and going and going and going and going. So it's going down to negative infinity. So it's, if I want to go from the lowest to the highest, my lowest one is negative infinity, and my highest Y value is what?
5.
5. Does it include the 5?
Yes.
Yes, so we put a bracket. So there's your range and your domain.
When you asked, does it include it, like, what do you mean by that?
That means, is this little dot solid? If it is, it's included. If it's open, it's not included. See how that one is a little circle? So it doesn't include that one. But it doesn't matter anyway on the Y, because the Y's, there, for this value that comes across here, there's another one that is included, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter on the X's though. That little open circle means that it's not included. If it's closed in dot, it is included. Okay, now these are not easy. So if you get stuck on them, let me know and I'll help you with them. We're going to do some in just a minute of the homework. All right, let's talk about the next topic, which is relative maximum and relative minimum. And these are going to be curves that look like this. Well, they might. Do you see how that one's kind of at the top and this one's kind of at the bottom? And relative means according to this area right around it, if I drew a little box around it, which is what you do in calculus, if I drew a little box around that, in that little area right there, that would be the maximum. It's the top point. So it's a relative maximum. It's not the maximum because this thing keeps going up and up and up. Maximum would be infinity. So it's not the maximum for the whole graph, but it's relative maximum according to this little spot right here. It's called the turning point on one of these graphs that we'll be talking about later. So in this little area right here, relative to this little spot, that is a maximum. So this is a relative maximum. Okay. And again, if I drew a little box around this, and in this area right here, which is relative to this little box, this would be called a relative minimum. Okay. Now let's put some values in here. The relative max, of course, is the top point of the curve relative to where it is, and the relative min is the bottom point. Let's put in some points here. Let's say this is 0, 2, and let's say this one is 4, -3. Those are my 2 points. The way this will be written is relative maximum is blank at x equals blank. That's the way it's written. In the first blank, they want the y value. In the second blank, they want the x value. So the relative max is going to be 2, where x equals 0. The relative min is blank at x equals blank. Well, here's my min. My relative min is -3. That's that lowest value there, where x is 4. See how you fill in those blanks? This first one is the y value. The second one is the x value of that minimum value. Now on this, yes, yes.
Thank you.
This is a cubic curve, by the way. So let's do domain and range while we're at it. Are there any breaks in this graph? Nope, it's a continuous function. So left to right, it's -infinity to +infinity. You see that? And bottom to top, this keeps going down, this keeps going up. It's -infinity to +infinity. Now let's do intervals increasing.
Is that because it was cubic?
Yeah, all cubic curves have domain and range that. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
It's because that's the shape it takes. There's no constant on this one. Let's do decreasing and increasing. Now remember, which value do we use for intervals?
X value.
X values, and it goes left to right. So it's increasing. There's my little car. He's going uphill there, and he's going uphill here. So there, it's increasing from -infinity up to what value?
0.
0.
Yes, let's use the x value of 0. And then it is increasing again from what to what?
4 to
4 to positive infinity.
4 to positive infinity. Now, is there a place in there that it's decreasing?
Yes.
Yes. Where is it?
0 to -4.
0
That's
to
-4 or is that a 4?
that's a 4.
Okay, 0 to 4. Sorry.
0 to 4, it's decreasing. Remember, you have to use the x values. Okay.
So is this like what a problem will be on the homework? It'll be like find the relative max, min, domain, and intervals.
That's right.
Okay. So like this would be like a homework example, like what to expect for this homework.
Yes, we're going to do some homework examples in just a minute, but yes,
Okay.
that's what it'll be. So you can just keep adding more and more to your picture. All right. The next thing that we're going to do on this thing, this section, is quadratic functions. And we're going to graph. We're going to find the vertex. Anyone know what the vertex is?
Where it branches off, like the point.
It's that change point. It's where it's a relative max or min. In fact, in these, it's an absolute max or min. Okay, we're going to do most of this work on the calculator. Now, normally, and even in your homework, we use f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That's generally their form n. That's called standard form. But there is one problem that they throw in a different form for you. It's called the vertex form. F of x equals a times x minus h quantity squared plus k. And this is called vertex form. And they only have, I think there's only one problem that does this. And the vertex form is not bad. The vertex is HK. The only thing you have to remember is to take the opposite of your H. So if you have f of x equals 2 times x minus 3 quantity squared plus 4, your vertex is 3, the opposite. And remember, we do that when we're trying to find the shift on it. We take the opposite of it. So we've been doing that before. And then this 4, you don't take the opposite of it. So your vertex, when it's in vertex form, is the 3 that's off of this H and the K that's on this 4. And this is a shift. It's 4 up and it's 3 to the right, which is why that vertex is over at 3, 4. Okay. Now,
Okay, Dr. Sullivan, what is that after the plus signs? Is that a
K.
I don't know.
It's a K.
Okay.
This is a K. It's a cursive K. Sorry. Now, there is a way to find the vertex by hand, and some of you are going to want to do this because you don't like doing it on the calculator. So if you have ax squared plus bx plus c in that form, then you can find the vertex by the x value is negative b over 2a. Have you seen that before?
Yes.
That's that first part of that quadratic formula. So you find the x value, then put the x back in to get y. Now, I don't ever do that very often. Sometimes I do, but I don't do that very often. Most of the time, I just do it on the calculator because it's easier to do it on the calculator. Okay, now notice that what you're finding here is a parabola, and you're finding this bottom point. If it's down there at the bottom, it's called the minimum. Okay, that's a minimum vertex. If it's a frowny face, then it's called a maximum. And you kind of need to know which one it is because you have to use your calculator, and you have to know if you're trying to get the maximum or the minimum value. Now, something that you're going to need to know is that there is an axis of symmetry. Remember, we talked about symmetry, symmetric to the y-axis, symmetric to the x-axis, and symmetric to the origin. And these are all going to have an axis of symmetry. And the axis of symmetry is x equals whatever that x value is in the vertex. So it's the negative b over 2a. That's what it is. And you have to have this whole part. You have to have x equals, and then it'll be a number. It's whatever negative b over 2a is. Or if they give you one already in the vertex form, it's going to be x equals 3 is your axis of symmetry. X equals whatever the x value is your axis of symmetry. Okay, let's do a problem and see if we can do an example problem that will help us figure out how to do these parabolas. Let's do one. F of x equals x squared plus 10x plus 21. Okay. Now I can use x equals negative b, which would be negative 10 over 2 times 1, which would be 2, negative, and that would be, let's just do it. It would be negative 10 over 2 times 1, which is negative 10 over 2, which is negative 5. So I know my axis of symmetry is x equals negative 5. I just did it. And if I wanted to know what my other value is, I could stick this in for x. I have negative 5 squared plus 10 times negative 5 plus 21. Let's see what the y value is. 25 minus 50 plus 21. What's that? That's 25 negative plus 21, negative 4. Is that negative 4? Somebody watch my, yes? So my vertex on this is negative 5, negative 4. And it's has a 1 here in the first. It's positive, so it's going to smile. So that's the way my parabola is going to look. Now they're going to ask me things like interval decreasing.
Can you explain again why it's pointed up?
Oh, because the value for the x squared is positive. It's a 1 there.
Okay.
It's positive. But I would put it on my calculator and get a picture just to make sure.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
We're going to do that in just a minute. Interval decreasing. Okay, going left to right, it would go down like right here. Anybody know what the interval decreasing would be? This point, by the way, is negative 5, negative 4.
How it would be decreasing?
Yep. It's a decreasing
It's
interval.
going to be a negative infinity, comma, negative 5.
That's right. What's the interval increasing?
It's gonna be -5, comma, infinity, or comma. Yeah, parentheses, -5, comma, infinity.
Okay, how about domain? Can anybody do domain?
Parentheses, -infinity, comma, infinity.
Mhm. And how about range? Range is tricky on this one. What's the range? What's the lowest Y value?
-4.
That's right. -4 to what?
Positive infinity.
Mhm. All right.
Make sure you're putting that bracket on when you're doing that for, I missed a couple questions because of that.
That's right. It won't count.
Okay, so I'm a little over my head because I don't.
Because you've had like 8 things to do in the last 3 pages. Is that the problem?
Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not.
The way to get unstuck is to keep doing them over and over, and you will eventually get the difference straightened out between intervals, between increasing and decreasing intervals, between domain and range. And axis of symmetry is, now we've added it. It's just that little thing that goes right down through that x value. So it's x equals -5. It's a, remember we did vertical lines before, have to be x equal equations. So that's x equals -5. It's a parabola. This is at the bottom, so it's a minimum, not a maximum. And the
Right.
vertex was -5, -4. Now we're going to do this on, yes?
Why the -4 had a bracket and not the -5? Can you explain that real quick? On the interval increase for the range. I don't know why there's a bracket in front of one but not the other.
Oh, there's never brackets on intervals. They're always parentheses.
Okay, so
Okay.
only the
This
bracket
one is because
it's because of the vertex.
-4 is included. You can use a bracket on range and domain, but you never use brackets on intervals.
Okay, so I
never use brackets.
And intervals are always x values, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And range is y value.
Okay, so I have a question.
What's your
Just because graphing it is all good, but I need to know why I'm doing it.
Okay,
so
what do you want to know why about?
Okay, so okay, so when we went to the interval decreasing, is it because that's what I don't understand.
It's going downhill. If you go left to right, it's going downhill. See, I drew that little arrow on it. It's going down left to right. And then over here on this side, if I drew my little car, that car would have to be driving uphill left to right. So that one's increasing. This one's going downhill left to right. This one's going uphill left to right.
So it's the
decreasing is down.
The interval, like the negative infinity, like what part is that?
That's from over here. These numbers over here on this side are negative infinity going into left to right till you get to the x value of -5. And then they're going to increase from the x value of -5, and this is going to keep going up and out. So we're over here on this positive side of infinity. So from -5 to positive infinity, that thing's going to go up, increase.
Okay.
Okay, let's see what it looks like on the calculator. To graph it, you're going to go y equals, and I think if I played with this earlier, I think if I leave it right there, it shows better. X squared plus 10x plus 21. Okay? Now see, that's what that looks like because that vertex is going to be at -5, -4. But one of the things that you've got to find is the vertex, and we're going to do that on here. All right, we're going to find this vertex. Let me put this equation in here. All right, to find the vertex on the calculator. First of all, I get my graph in there. So you want to graph it and decide if it's this kind of parabola or this kind of parabola. If it's smiling or frowning. Well, from my picture, it's this kind, not this kind. So that tells me that this point at the bottom is a minimum. You've got to know that first off. Then, once you've graphed it, take the second key and find the one that says calculate, which is above trace. You see it? So I'm going to do second and calculate. And you can see it says value 0, minimum, maximum, intersection, derivatives, and so on. You want the one that says minimum because you've determined that this is a minimum value. So that's number 3. Do you see that? I'm going to either go down to 3 or I can enter the 3. It doesn't matter which. And once you do that, it's going to have some numbers down there and it says left bound. So you want to come over on your picture and you're using those arrows that go left and right until you get a cursor. And your cursor needs to come over here and it needs to come on this side, the left side of your picture. So I'm going to move mine. And if you don't know where your cursor is, it'll tell you mine's at x equals 0, y equals 21. That's the intercept, by the way. So I'm going to use my left arrow and I can watch it. It's at -1 now. Now, see it? Do you see it coming down, that little cursor? And I'm going to move it down and keep moving it by using the left arrow key until I get on the left side to do my left bound. So I'm going to move it until I get over here to this left side, and then I'm going to hit enter. And when I do, it's going to put this little left bound arrow on my picture. Do you see it? It's right there. Now, I'm going to use my other key, the right side arrow, and I'm going to move that cursor around past the bottom. Keep going around until you're on the right side. And see at the bottom where it says the right bound, you want the right side of it. And when you get on the right side of it, hit enter. And it'll put an arrow that goes this way on your screen. Okay, now then you want to enter again. And it will tell you that your minimum value is -5 with a bunch of zeros, so you want to round it, -4. Isn't that cool? We'll do some more of those in a minute. Any questions? If you can't use your calculator to do it, you can always do the negative b over 2a and then put the value back in to get your y value. It'll work that
Does
way.
it matter how many times we've, as long as it's on that side, does it matter? Like,
How far you go?
yeah.
No, it doesn't matter how far you go. You just want to make sure you go to the left of it first and then go to the right of it. And I wouldn't go too far, but it didn't matter really where it is. That's a calculus function in your calculator that helps you find the minimum on it. Okay, let's do some problems and see if we can do any of these problems. Let me see how many this has got. It's got 9. The other one has 7, I think. We'll do the shorter one. This one is the support for 7.5. Okay. And I think that I have the picture of an example. And you can draw this if you want to, and I'm going to tell you what these points are. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's -4, -1. And you want to do that. The points won't be in there, so you want to put the points in there. And then over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, -1. And this problem says, from the graph of the function, state the intervals on which it's increasing, decreasing, and constant. Okay? Remember to use parentheses. Remember to use the x values. Remember to use left to right. Those are the 3 things we have to remember about intervals. Okay, now I don't know if it helps you to put the little car on there or not. It does me. If I'm headed this little car this way, I can see that that car has got to go downhill left to right. So is that increasing, decreasing, or constant if it's going downhill?
Decreasing.
Decreasing. Now remember, we're using x values. So think about these x values that's way over here. What are these x values down here? As far
Negative infinity.
Negative infinity. So it's decreasing from negative infinity to what x value?
-4. I mean, -1.
That's true. Hang on a second. I think my son-in-law is stuck outside. Okay, I guess they got in. I hear them. Okay. Negative infinity to x value of -4. Then my little car's down here. What would you say it's doing?
Constant.
It's constant. Constant from what to what?
-4 to 4.
And then over here on this side, what is it doing?
Increasing.
From
4 to positive infinity.
Okay. Have y'all got the increasing, decreasing, and constant, you think?
And this is intervals.
This is intervals.
Okay.
It's the ones that has the 3 rules. You have to use parentheses. You have to use the x values. You have to go left to right. Okay. Any questions about that one? All right, let's try this one. Now remember, we're in intervals. And let me pick somebody that thinks they can do this. Let's see, Marlisha, you think you could do this one?
Still try to catch on to these. Not give me on the, you can give me on the next one. This one's kind of like
Well,
I'm stuck on these.
first of all, what do you need to do this?
You need to find the X value, X intervals.
Yes, and you need to put in the ordered pairs because otherwise these don't have anything on them. So you need to figure out what this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, -3. -8, -3. That's what that one is. Hey, Jason, come here and give me a hug. I'm in my class. Come here. Come here and I'll give you a hug. How are you tonight? Good. I love you. Okay, this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. -5, -3. This one is -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -5, -5. This one is 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. -2, 6. This one is 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0, and 8, 5. So now that I have all of the values in, Marlisha, back to you. Are there any constant intervals? Did I lose you, Marlisha?
Yes, the no, you didn't lose me. The
Okay.
-8, and I think that's -3.
Yeah,
Or
but you
-5.
you don't care what it is because you're only using the X values. Oh, but this one over here.
Okay, so it's -8.
And this one over here is -5. You're right. So -8 to -5 would be your constant.
Okay.
Okay, let me pick somebody else. Who else is brave? How about increasing? Who can tell me what is increasing?
-5 to -2.
-5 to -2. Is that the only place that it's increasing?
Seven to 8.
Yep. Okay. How about decreasing?
7 to 8.
7 to 8, it's also increasing. How
Decreasing is let's see. Is that a 3 to 7?
That's it. 3 to 7. That's it. Okay, good job.
I sneaked up here.
All right. Let's do the next one. This is the way the picture looks. And these are all intervals, increasing, decreasing, or constant. Doesn't ask for anything else, just that. Okay, let's put the values in here. This one looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, -6, 2. And you'll have to do that. This looks like -4, -2. This one looks like -1, -2. This one is 0 something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 6. And that one doesn't have a point. Okay, let me pick somebody. Corey, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, Corey. How about constant? Can you do a constant one?
It would be -4 to -2 on the bottom one.
I think that's a -1. -2 is your Y value.
Oh, sorry. It's a little blurry.
I'm sorry. -4 to -1. And then is there another place that's constant?
Zero is a positive infinity.
That's it. See, this one up here is also constant. It's just going straight across. Okay, how about decreasing? Danielle, can you do a decreasing one?
-6 to -4.
That's right. Are there any other decreasings?
No.
Okay. How about Morgan? Can you do an increasing on this one?
Would it be -1, 0?
-1, 0. Where did you get -1, Morgan?
Okay, hold on. Let me start from the other side. Sorry, I forgot. Negative
Go left to right.
Yeah, -infinity to -6.
That's it.
But would you still do -1 to 0?
-1 to 0.
Is
Right
it
here. Here's -1 to 0. That is increasing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Is that what you said at first?
Yeah, I thought you said I was wrong, so I was confused.
Well, I probably didn't, because I was thinking
I didn't go left to right.
I was thinking left to right, and you said -1 to 0. I was going, wait, no.
Yeah, I skipped ahead.
Let's start over here. And I don't know if he'll take it if you put this one first. He might.
Not.
But since it goes left to right, I don't know that they will. I think you got to put this one first. Okay, let's try to shift gears here. This number 4 that you're going to have, and there's only about 7 of these to do. On this number 4, they switch gears and say, they don't say anything about interval increasing and decreasing. They say on this one, determine the domain and the range. Now remember, on domains and range, you can use the brackets, and you do go left to right, and you're using X for the domain, and you're using Y values for the range. So keep in mind that's kind of different than the intervals. So let's see what these points are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's -5, -4. And this one looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay. Let's see, domain and range. So we're looking for the lowest, and it's continuous. We don't have a break in it, so we're good. We just need to find the lowest X and the highest X. So, Chandra, you want to try it?
Yes.
Okay, what's the lowest X?
-5.
-5. What's the highest X?
It would be 4, 4. Is that 4?
No, that's high up this way. High this way would be what?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're thinking X's.
Well,
Check out
7.
7. Now, what kind of symbols do I use? Parentheses or brackets? Bracket means it includes the point. Parentheses means it does include the point. And I don't see any that are open circles. These are
So
all
it's
dots. That means it's
brackets.
closed. So we're using brackets. Good job. All right, Lori. How about range? Can you do range on this one?
-4 to +4.
That's it. And I used a bracket. Do you know why?
Because it includes the numbers.
That's correct. Okay. Any questions on that one? All right. Let's try number 5. This on number 5 says domain and range. It doesn't say anything. I don't think it says anything at all about intervals. Nope. But this is not continuous. This has got breaks in it. And there's a dot that's an open circled instead of a closed one. So let's put in our points first. That's what you always want to do. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -5, 1. 1, 2, 3. -3, 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. -3, -4. 1. -1, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 4. 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, that can't be 5. That's higher than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 4, 7. Now, we have to do domain and range. So we're looking for the lowest X value and see right here, there's not really a break because this one's open here, but it's closed down here. So if I went left to right here, I would have a point, an X value every place from this -5 to over here. And then it takes a break and picks up here and goes to over here. So anyone want to take a chance on this domain? I'll pick somebody. Let's see who I can pick. Natalie, how about you? Do you know this?
I can try. I think it's -5 to -1.
That's right. And now, do I use brackets or parentheses?
I think you're gonna do parentheses on that one.
Well,
no, you're gonna do a bracket on that one. You're gonna do bracket on that one.
All right.
The other one, I guess, is gonna be one. No. The other one is gonna be 1 to +4.
Bracket or parentheses?
Bracket, I think.
Good job.
I was really hesitant to say it was both were brackets on the first one because of the dot.
Right.
I don't know.
But this one would take, if it was 1, 2, 3, -3, this one already has a 1 at -3. So it would kind of take its place. It's not really open. It looks like it's open, but it's not.
Okay.
Good job. Okay. Range. Amanda, can you do range? Are you there, Amanda?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what's the lowest Y value?
-4.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be a bracket.
Okay.
And then 7. And it would
Mm-hmm. That's it. Okay.
I have a question.
What is your
So
question?
when it's saying, okay, so we're doing for the domain, I guess I got confused as far as the position versus what it actually is. So I was thinking like, so if we're doing on the domain, we're doing the lowest X.
Right. Because it's X values for domains.
Right. And so it's with the -5. I don't know why I got confused because on the last one, you had like -5 all the way down here. I just got confused, but I understand now.
Well, it's still, let's see.
Right.
It's
I think
still
that
the
kind of messed
value
me
is
up.
-5 for
Right.
this value in both
Right.
cases. Yes.
Yeah, I got confused. That's all. That's what I was like, okay. And then the union is the
Just
break.
there's a break in between here. It's right there. See that break?
Right.
But we don't have the break on the Y's because there's always a Y value somewhere if you go up and down. There's always a Y value. There's no break on the Y values up and down.
That confuses the mess out of me. I don't get that.
The lowest X, and then it's the highest X, which would be -1.
Yep, right here.
Okay. Okay. And then once we did the union, and then it's
1 to 4.
1 to 4. Okay. Okay.
Now, you're probably going to get mixed up and then have to get straightened out. Don't be surprised if that doesn't happen because sometimes it does. All right, let's do this number 6 and see if we're confused or not. Number 6 asks for range and domain as well. And this value is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, -7, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's -5, -3. This one is -3, -3. And this one is 1, 2, -2, 3. And of course, that's infinity over there. Okay. Let's see. Who's not gotten to answer one? Kiana, did you answer one? Did Margaret Davis come in tonight? Is Margaret here? Or Kiera or Portia? Okay. Let's work on this one. Domain. Kiana, do you want to do it or you want me to do it? Okay, I guess she wants me to do it. Domain. Lowest X, I'm sorry, lowest X would be -infinity because this thing keeps going down. So it's over here somewhere, way over here. So from -infinity to +infinity, it's your domain. How about your range? What's the lowest Y? This thing keeps going down, remember?
Why is this problem specifically -infinity to +infinity?
Why is the domain that?
Yeah. Why versus the other problem where I had a number?
Because this one has arrows on the
Because
end
it has
of it,
arrows.
and
Okay.
the other ones didn't have any arrows.
Okay. That's something I might miss. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm so glad you asked that.
These don't have errors.
So if the endpoints of the lines have arrows and it's all the same and there's no break, then it's negative infinity. Okay.
Now that's for the domain that's left to right. What's going to happen on the range? This thing is going to go down, 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 down as far as I can go. So it's going to, the lowest one is negative infinity. But what is the highest y value on this problem?
3.
That's right. Does it include the 3?
Yes.
Got it. Okay, I think y'all are okay on that. Let's look at this parabola. They're going to switch gears on us. On this is number 7, and it says determine any relative max or min of the function and the intervals in which it's increasing or decreasing. So we have to decide. They give us the picture and they give us the vertex. And we have to decide if that vertex is a maximum or minimum. What would you say?
Maximum.
It's a maximum because it's at the top. Now, they're going to write this out and you have to fill in the blank. The relative maximum occurs at x equals blank and has a value of blank. So which one do you think is the X answer and which one is the Y answer?
Didn't you say that the X would be the opposite?
No, that's when it's in that form. That form that's
okay.
H, that's when it's opposite.
Okay.
So negative 4 would be X?
Yes, negative 4.
The negative 4 be X.
That's the X value. That makes the Y value 7.25. Okay. Then the next thing they want to know is the interval increasing. Okay. Increasing left to right. Intervals use parentheses. Intervals use the X values. Can you remember all 3 of those things? Where is the interval increasing?
From negative infinity to negative 4.5.
Remember, use parentheses on intervals. How about interval decreasing?
Negative 4.5.
To positive infinity? Yep.
To positive infinity?
That's right. Okay, that is the support section. Do you have any questions about what you're going to encounter in that support section? You guys are doing well. All right, we have 15 minutes to look at the college algebra section for 7.5. And you're doing so well at this. I think we won't have problems with it, maybe. This is 7.5, and this is for the college algebra section. And this is all going to be on quadratic functions. So it says use the graph and use the graph of the quadratic function f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k to find the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and the minimum or maximum value of the problem. Well, I don't think you're going to need that because they go ahead and give you your vertex. Your vertex is at 1, 2. That's where your vertex is. So the first blank says the vertex, they gave you the point, is, and it has a blank. So all you do is put in 1, 2. Then it says the axis of symmetry is, and it has a blank. That axis of symmetry is that little line that goes right down through the vertex. Does anybody recall from the notes what is that axis of symmetry equation?
Negative b over 2a.
It's negative b over 2a, but we don't have an equation to look at. We just have a picture. How are we going to do it if we just have a picture?
It's the x value.
It's the x value right there. And you have to put the x. If you don't put the x on there, it will count it wrong. You must include the x.
So make sure that
You have to make sure that you include the x equals. If you don't put x equals 1 and you just put 1, they'll count it wrong. Okay, then the third part of this question is, what is the minimum value? Okay, and it has a blank. And you have to figure out what you want. Do you want the x value or do you want the y value? So let's think about that. Which one do you think you would want?
y equals 2.
It's the y.
Y equals 2.
So if it's asking for the minimum value, you're wanting the y value, so it would be 2. Notice you don't have to put y equals. It's not an equation. The axis is an equation. So you have to put the x equal. But if they're just asking for the minimum value, they just want the y value. Okay, let's try the next one. It actually gives us the equation. And it asks us to find the vertex and asks us to find the axis of symmetry. And it asks us to find whether it opens upward or downward is the terminology they use, and they want the value. So what we do is grab our calculator is what I would do, because they don't have the picture of it. What if you have to graph it? Yes, it does say you have to graph it. So y equals, clear out that one, and I'm going to put in x squared minus 14x plus 48. I'm going to graph it. There it is. Now notice I want to find the vertex. Let's see if we can remember those directions to find the vertex. I know that it's going to open upward. And so this is a minimum value, not a maximum. So all I have to do to fill in these blanks is to find the vertex. And I can use negative b over 2a if I want to do that and substitute in. I'm just going to try this one with graphing. So I do second and calculate and go down to minimum. I want the minimum value, or I can just put the number 3. And notice it's going to say left bound. So I move that cursor to the left.
Can someone please tell me where the calculate is? I don't see it.
It's on top of trace. Graph is the one on the end.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And then there's trace, and it's the one on the top of trace. It's the blue one. That's why you have to hit the second key first. Okay, we good? Second calculate is next to the graph.
Okay.
On trace. And now what we've got, the left bound is where I have, and my cursor's at 0.48. So 0.48 is way up here. So I'm going to use this side, the one that's on the right, to move my cursor down so that it'll be on the close to the left side. And I can tell where I am. Right now I'm at 3 and 11. I want to go a little bit, there it is. See, it's coming into my picture now. See the cursor? So I'm going to move it down here closer to where the bottom of my graph is. So when I get it to where I want it, and it doesn't matter where, then you hit enter. And when you do, it's going to put that little, see that little mark up there that says you've marked the left bound? That's what that means. Okay, now move the cursor to the right side. So I'm going to move it over here to the right side, and I'm going to hit enter, and see how it put that little arrow up there. And now I have to hit one more time, enter, and it will tell me that my minimum is 6.9999999, and y is -1. So this value would really be what?
Mine rounded up to 7.
It'll be 7, -1 is your vertex.
How come yours showed 6.9 and mine just showed 7? That's weird.
Because it depends on where you put your cursor.
Oh, okay.
Because it's dividing that up into little rectangles is what it's doing. So it depends on where you put your cursor.
Okay.
Okay, now then, can you figure out what your axis of symmetry is?
7.
Yep, but you have to remember to put x equals 7. If you don't put an x equals in there, it won't do it. It won't tell you, it won't count it right. Now, what is this value that I want? What number do I put in for that value?
-1.
That's the y value. Okay.
And I just want to make sure whenever we're doing the homework for the value, we don't have to put y equals, right?
No. For the value is a number, but for the axis, it's an equation.
Okay. I just wanted to double check. Thank you.
Now that's real tricky. Now they ask you to graph it. How are you going to graph it? You're going to put your 7, -1 in there.
Pick a couple points from the table.
And then do second and table and pick a couple of points that are close and graph it.
Usually it's 2 for a parabola, correct?
Yes, I think it is. You'll have to pick the parabola tool, you know, as you graph it. Okay, let's see if we can get another one in. Let's see if we've got it right. See if there's any that's going to throw you for a loop here. Yes, here's one that will. Let's try this one. This is number 9. Number 9 says, find the vertex, determine if it's max or min, find the value of the function, find the range, find the intervals increasing and decreasing, and that's all they ask us to do. So let's do that. Negative x squared, 8x squared minus 24x plus 5. Okay, let's try this one. Let's try putting it on our calculator and see what it looks like. It looks like because there's a negative here that this thing is going to be upside down. So let's try, see what happens here. Negative 8x squared minus 24x plus 5. Now look what happens when I try to graph this thing. I can't see the top of it. Can you?
Nope.
All right. So you can still do it by putting a point on the left and right of that, wherever the top of it is. I can see that it's probably doing this. I just can't see where the top of it is. But the nice thing to do is that you can change your window. And actually see it. So go to the one that says window and see it has an X minimum of -10. And I've already played with this one a little bit to see if we can get a picture. And you'll just have to play with it to see what picture you get. Because it's tall and skinny, see, I don't need to go way over here to 10 or way over here to 10. I can reduce my X values so that it's closer in between. So I'm going to, on my window right there, I'm going to put -5 instead of -10. And then on the X max, I think I'm just going to go with 5. So I'm going to put 5. And then the next one is X scale is what do you want to count by? Well, counting by ones is fine with me. Now let's talk about this Y minimum. So this Y minimum is -10. That's okay. I mean, that's all right with me for it to have a negative. See, I can almost see the top of it now with just changing my X's. But I need to change my Y so I can see the top of it. So I'm going to go to Y max. We'll leave the Y min at -10. And change my Y max to 50. So I'm going to change that 10 to a 50 there. And now my Y scale, I could count by ones, but that's a lot of little marks in there between 1 and 50. So what I'm going to try to count is by maybe 5s. So let's count by 5s. So I'm going to count by 5s. That would be 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. And then the X resolution you can see on there, and just leave the rest of them alone. That's a 1. Now when you graph, you can actually see the top of your parabola, and it looks like a nicer picture. So now let's find, I'm doing second and calculate, and this one is a maximum, so I'm going to go down to 4, which is the maximum. It's going to look like this. I'm going to go down to 4, which is a maximum, and I'm going to make sure I'm on the left side. So I'm going to move my cursor over here to the left side of the top of my problem, and I'm going to hit enter. Then I'm going to move to the right side of it. It's got to go left to right, and I'm going to hit enter, and notice my 2 little arrows are up there. I'm going to hit enter again, and it's going to tell me my maximum is -1.5, and it's got a bunch of zeros, and then the Y value is 23. So this vertex is -1.5, comma 23. Now, the problem that you're going to find is that they won't take that decimal. They want that to be a fraction. Does anybody remember from way ago when we did fractions how to change 1.5 to a fraction? Let's get out of this. -1.5. Go to math and enter, and it'll move it to a fraction.
Why do they want it as a fraction if it's for a graphing problem? I don't understand that.
Because they want to test to see if you know how to change it from a decimal to a fraction. I don't know.
Because I mean, even if I do the graph, I'm still going to use the decimal, you know.
Now you're going to use it when you graph. You're not going to use that fraction, but they asked for a fraction because I know, because I put it in as negative 1.5 and it counted me wrong. And I went, what? What's wrong with you? It's not wrong. And I looked at the, it says type an ordered pair using integers or fractions. That's what the directions say. It says use fractions.
So only enter a decimal if they ask you to.
Right. Or if it doesn't say.
Okay, if it doesn't say.
Right. Okay. Does the parabola open upward or downward?
Downward.
Downward. So that's one of the things that you've got to know. And then it says, what is the maximum value? What is the maximum value?
23.
23. Remember, on value, they're looking for the y value. Let's see if it asks for the axis of symmetry.
The symmetry, the x equals negative 3/2.
Axis of symmetry would be x equals negative 3/2. Let's do range and domain. It's asking for the domain and the range. So what would be the domain and range of this? What's a domain? Here's my picture.
X values.
X value.
It's the x values. What's the x value that's the furthest to the left?
Negative infinity.
And what's the x value that's furthest to the right?
Negative 3.
No, furthest to the right.
Positive infinity.
Positive infinity. Remember, on parabolas, the domain is always in negative infinity or positive infinity. Now let's do the range. Now remember, this point up here is negative 3/2 23. So the range, what's the lowest y value?
Negative infinity.
Good. What's the highest y value?
23.
And it includes 23. That's where I use my bracket. Now let's do areas increasing. Increasing. They know it?
Like 3/2.
Remember, you use the x values for areas increasing and decreasing. What's decreasing? Okay. And remember, that's positive infinity because even though this is going down, the x value over here is getting larger. So this would be like positive 20, negative 14 or whatever. But these numbers this way are getting larger. That's why it's positive infinity over here on the decreasing side. Okay.
And it's infinity because
hardest problem.
There's no breaks. There's no breaks or anything. So it's going to be, well, you said it was like that because it's a parabola, right?
Right, because the domain, and because there's no breaks, and it goes left to right, and it's a parabola, and lots of reasons why it's negative infinity to positive infinity. Now, your calculator is all messed up because you moved all your stuff around. Remember that graph we just did? If you want to get it back to normal, go to Zoom, and number 6 says standard. See number 6? If you put it back to number 6, it'll move your calculator back to the 10 to 10, negative 10 to positive 10. Zoom and standard moves it back. guys, it is after 8, so it's time for us to quit. But if you need some specific help, then I will be glad to help you. Did Selena come in? Or Margaret? Or Brooke? Or Portia? Or Kiera? Or Chandra's here. Billy Thompson. Was Billy here? Okie dokie.
Earlier.
Billy was here earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. All right, guys. What do you think? You think you can do it?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm only a phone call away, so if you need some help, text me or call me. Tomorrow, my life is a little crazy. The baby is going to have tubes put in his ears, so I have the other children here to watch in the morning. But and Saturday at noontime, we have a birthday party for 2 of the girls.